Okay, now in this segment we're going to talk to you about building skids. Now, a lot of times, and I know in Elwood they don't have the proper skid to ship a TV with, and we're hoping that the box idea will do better than actually shipping with skids. But on most TVs we don't need anything wider than a 2-foot skid. All right, we don't need a 40 by 48 or whatever, but we get charged for the length anyway. So if it overhangs, it doesn't matter. So if we're going to build a skid here that will fit that 55-inch TV by Westinghouse, and it's actually 57 inches long, and we are going to make it 2 foot wide because we want to make sure that our base is half the distance of our height, so it can't tip over. Okay, that's a theory anyway. So, and building a skid is so simple. I went down to my local skid company and I bought these pieces, and they cut them for me 2 feet long or 24 inches long. You can buy these by the skidful. It's not expensive. And I'll tell you something else you can do. If you don't have a skid company close by to you, you can go to your Home Depot or your Lowe's and have them cut you up some, I don't know, some 9-10 inch wide strips right off the OSB that you can put right on here, so you don't even have to go to your skid company. But you buy the cheap 2x4s for $1.50, cut them off the length for whatever you need, and use the OSB as your top rail and your bottom, as you'll see here in a few minutes. So, now, and again, we're using the same staple gun. You put on your front piece here, and you can bring it right out to the edge if you want to. And all right. Now, the one thing you want to do is kind of try to make your skid square. Try to anyway. Now, my table here is not very wide. But you do the figure of square, make sure your boards are pretty square, is that you got 62 there, and then you check the other side, and you want 62. So, you got 62 there, and you should have 62 on this edge. So run your board down, and now we need a little bigger table. So let's do this. Let's put a board up underneath so that our table will be a little bigger. Okay. All right. Now our table's a little bigger, so we're not going to fall off our table. And you can build these on the floor, which is probably really easy. And this way you will never be without a skid. All right, so. And we're hoping that we're pretty square here, so let's see. 62 and 62. Yep, perfect. Okay, so we should be pretty square. So you get both sides done. All right. And you don't have to have a lot of them on here, but I would do both ends to make sure that it's nice and straight, so your rails aren't crooked. And same thing on this side. All right. Now, okay. Now what I'd like to do is actually call this the bottom. This is your bottom rail. And let's turn it over, because we know we got something that's nice and straight. And now we'll put our top pieces on. And like I say, they don't have to be perfect, because this is a one-way skid. Okay? Unless it's for our green glove. Okay. As I say, you don't need a lot of boards on here. Try to keep them as straight as possible. And this is a very strong skid, doing it this way. Okay. All right, now I'm going to finish up and then I'll show you the skid all the way around. Okay, I got my glasses on. You can see I'm working by my barn at my house here, and this is a skid that will carry a lot of weight, and this is for the 55-inch, and you can make them for whatever length that we need. If our boxes don't work, I know that we can ship this skid anywhere in the United States and it won't fall apart on us. And it took us about maybe 5-6 minutes to make, actually. And like I said, you don't have to use the wood from a pellet company. You can just have the OSB cut in thin strips, and it works just as well. All right, so that's all I have for skids. You'll never be short of skids ever again. You won't have to worry about room or buying a truckload of skids, because you can build them as you need them.